there's no mitzvah. I found it so interesting. You know, there's a mitzvah to honor your parents. There's a mitzvah to fear your parents or revere them, however you want to translate it. There's no mitzvah to honor your children. Do you know that? There's no mitzvah. You know why? Kind of what Rabbi said. You know, when you look at your child and they smile back at you, it's just instinctual. There's no mitzvah to breathe either. There's no mitzvah to eat. There's no mitzvah to drink, because if you want to survive, that's what you do, right? It just comes natural to us. There's no mitzvah to honor and protect our children. But there actually is a mitzvah to honor and protect our children. You just have to dig a little deeper to find it. In Aleinu, and there's a mitzvah to teach our children. But that's not protecting them. There is a mitzvah to lesaken olam b'malchut Shaddai. That's what Aleinu is about, Aleinu. That second paragraph. To create the scene, to create the world where we want God to dwell in. That's what this parsha is about. Parshat Truma is about creating the Mishkan, creating the structure for God to dwell among us, right? And I have to say, after this weekend, I thought this for a long time, and maybe I haven't shared it, and maybe that's my fault. But we failed. As parents, we have failed. As grandparents, we have failed in this country. Who in here is born in South Florida? Raise your hand. Who in here went to elementary school in South Florida? Keep your hands up. Who in here went to middle school in South Florida? Keep your hands up. Who in here went to high school in South Florida? Keep your hands up. Who in here had children in elementary school, in middle school? Keep your hands up, meaning keep your hands up. Who here grew your children up here? How many people have lived here for more than 10 years? Okay, you can put your hands down. So South Florida, there's a thing here. That first question, who was born here, I usually ask that in maybe like 5% of the room. Right? You're all from other places. This place is my home, South Florida. I went to Plantation High School in Broward County. I had many friends who went to Stoneman Douglas. My government and economics teacher is Ty Thompson, is the principal of Stoneman Douglas High School. I was in USY with the coach at Stoneman Douglas High School. Up north isn't your home. If you're here, South Florida is your home. And you have a responsibility. We have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to set the scene so that our children can become who they're meant to become. We had this week a shloshim on Wednesday night. It just so happened that it was Wednesday night for the White family who was tragically killed in a plane crash. And there were many kids who were friends with the kids, the teens. It was a 16-year-old and a 19-year-old. And we prayed together and we talked about what had just happened. And the kids who knew other kids, and we didn't know fully what was going on. One of our congregants, one of our USY president, actually was inside the high school when it all happened. He's safe, thank God. He didn't get out till about 7 p.m., so he couldn't come to the event, and his car was still there. But at the end, we took these stones, and I put them out there, and we did something called the Kindness Stone Project, which is coloring stones, and you leave them in different places with different messages of kindness. And then when people find them, it lifts their spirits. But it's not enough, and I'm sorry, but kindness matters is not enough. It's not enough. Believing in God means believing in God's divine image. It means that Each one of us is created b'tselem Elohim, in God's image. It means that we care for the dignity of human beings above everything else. It means that our talking points that you read on Facebook from whatever political party that you're a part of and whatever organization sends you things to tear it, it doesn't matter. Our teens, what I learned, they don't care. I was at the vigil in Parkland, and the amazing thing was the teens and our teens. And what maybe makes this different is that they don't care, they don't want your thoughts and prayers. They don't want it, they don't care. They're going to take action. They're going to be the leaders. If we fail in creating a world where God can exist, where they can exist in safety, then they're going to do it. So we could either follow them or we can step aside. There is no other. There is no other. There is no other God. There is no God of silver and bronze, a God of weapons. There is no God. There's no God of idolatry, of talking points. There is no other God. Our children looked at us. This was a heartbreaking moment. They came on Wednesday night and they said, it was another school shooting. And they said, adults, nothing's going to happen. They said, the adults aren't going to do anything about it. That's what they said. And I want us to think about that. We are about to engage in something called, there's a new holiday called the 9th of Adar, which is a week of constructive dialogue. So one of the things I'm kind of sick of doing is having arguments on social media. It doesn't do anything. I don't care. I want to speak to you all face to face. I want us to speak face to face. I want us to respect each other. I want us to realize that these problems, these mass shootings, the violence, gun violence in our country, whatever you could say, mental health in our country, whatever problems you think it is, are complex, and they must be looked at, and all options are on the table. We need to discuss these things with peace and harmony, and we need to discuss them constructively. And, yes, we each get a vote. And one side may lose and one side may win, but at least we can talk about it. And at least we can say to our children who are looking to us for answers and for leadership that we're setting the scene for God to dwell on earth. Tikkun olam, letaken olam b'malchut Shaddai, it doesn't mean coloring rocks and putting them down on the ground. As much as it is, as much as setting the scene of kindness matters, it does matter. But letaken olam b'malchut Shaddai means fixing broken systems. That's what it means in rabbinic literature. We must fix these broken systems. And that's why we end our service with Aleinu. All of you, we stand up and we say this prayer like robots. Just like we say it after our thoughts and prayers are with you. Like robots. We got to break the cycle. And I look to our teams to be our leaders. If we're not going to lead, they are. And so my blessing for us is that we create the world that God deserves to dwell in. I want to read to you two readings, one from Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. He says, daily we should take account and ask, what have I done today to alleviate the anguish, to mitigate the evil, to prevent humiliation? Let there be a grain of profit in every human being. Our concern must be expressed not symbolically but literally, not only publicly but also privately. Not only occasionally, but regularly. What we need is the involvement of every one of us as individuals. What we need is restlessness, a constant awareness of the monstrosity of injustice. And I want to end by reading you a prayer, and I have copies of it as well. It's titled Thoughts and Prayers, and it was written, I have to say this. As a rabbi being in South Florida, I wish I could write some sort of beautiful prayer, but I am speechless at this time. It's hard for me to write anything. So this was written by a colleague, Rabbi Robert Scheinberg. It's called Thoughts and Prayers. When Jews pray, no matter where they are around the world, we face the city of Jerusalem. But what do you do if you're praying and you're located in Jerusalem itself? You face the place in Jerusalem where the temple stood. And what if you are right near where the temple stood? Or what would you want to do when standing within the temple court itself? You would face the innermost part of the temple, the holiest part of the temple, the Kodesh HaKodeshim, the Holy of Holies, the area in the temple that was so holy that only the high priest would enter it, and only on Yom Kippur in conditions of complete purity. And what would the high priest have seen there? The very center was the Kodesh HaKodeshim, was the Aron, the holy ark that contained the 2 tablets of the 10 Commandments. And immediately above the Aron was the Kapporah. In Parshat Truma, this parsha, we read about the Kapporah, the winged Kruvim that adorned it. These images face each other in some way we cannot comprehend. God's presence was said to dwell beneath those wings. But what did Kruvim look like? In the Talmud, Rabbi Baum answers the question. He says the word karov, kruv, means ke ravaya, like a child. In Babylonia, one refers to a child as Rabbi. Thus, when Jews turn in prayer towards the site of the Holy of Holies, we are facing the site of the 10 Commandments. We are facing the place where the presence of God used to dwell, and facing a place where that was adorned by the faces of children. Could we expect otherwise? Are not children our world's Holy of Holies? Are not children the ones who are most full of purity, the hopefulness, the optimism, and the potential for making our world ever more holy? The Holy of Holies was the innermost part of the temple, and even today, rings of Jewish worshipers encircle its site every day around the world, turning towards it, placing it at the very center of our communal concern because of how much we treasure and wish to protect what the Holy of Holies contains. We treasure the Torah, we seek to protect it, and we treasure children, and we seek to protect them. Dear God, we have failed. Dear God, we have failed to protect what is most dear to us and to you. Dear God, we have failed to protect your Holy of Holies from danger. Dear God, it is our responsibility to build a society where the children, the Revaya, whose faces overlook the Holy Ark, would be protected so they could grow up to bring blessing into the world. It was our responsibility to protect Alyssa and Martin and Nicholas, Jamie, Luke, and Kara, Gina, Jochen, Alana, Meadow, Elena, Alex, Carmen, and Peter, like our children, to make sure that no one would do them harm. It was our responsibility to build a world where they could enjoy the blessings of youth, to fully grow into adulthood, and to plan for their bright futures. It was our responsibility to create a safe world for them, to face down anyone who would be indifferent about their safety, or anyone who would regard these losses as tolerable. It was our responsibility to learn the lessons of earlier breaches of the Holy of Holies time and time again. God, may our words of regret not simply be idle thoughts and prayers, like they were the last time your Holy of Holies was breached. God, may these young souls find menucha nechona, appropriate tranquility, tachat kanfei hashchina, under the wings of your divine presence. And for the sake of all of our children, may you grant us the wisdom and strength to do what is necessary to keep your Holy of Holies from being pierced again.